Welcome to Reimagine Adeline, Part 2. What if? The presentation has been prepared as part of a 3-year process to create a plan for the Adeline Street South Shattuck Corridor in Berkeley. Please be sure to watch Part 1 first, as it provides important background information on the planning process. The Adeline Corridor plan area is located in South Berkeley and is centered around the Ashby-BART station. The Reimagine Adeline exhibit, which appeared at the Ed Roberts Center from January 28 through February 4, 2017, highlighted 3 alternatives for the Adeline Street right-of-way. The first video highlights those alternatives. This video goes a step further and asks you to imagine what might happen on some of the properties along Adeline Street if the road is redesigned. The Adeline Corridor specific plan itself will include a strong focus on the production of affordable and market rate housing and the preservation of existing housing in the South Berkeley community. Many of the concerns raised during Phase 1 of the project relate to the protection of South Berkeley's legacy as a culturally and economically diverse community. Several other issues also came up regularly during the first phase of the project, including space for the arts and artists, creation of more public gathering places, and the need for economic development strategies that benefit South Berkeley residents and businesses. As the new plan seeks to provide new housing, these priorities also should be addressed in creative ways. Part of the Reimagine Adeline exhibit looked at ways to create positive change by thinking outside the box. The slides you're about to see are just ideas, things that could happen in 5, 10, or even 20 years. We call them what ifs. None of these things are proposed right now, but all of them could be possible someday. Let's start at the northern end of the corridor, near where Adeline and Shattuck intersect. We're calling this area Northern Gateway Redwoods, since there's a stand of mature redwood trees in the median here. This area extends from the fire station at Shattuck and Derby down to around the Berkeley Bowl. How might the arts, civic, and commerce themes play out if they're combined with the different roadway realignment options shown in video number 1? We'll look at an arts-themed option first. What if performance space and art gallery space is added above the fire station? What if the privately owned triangle of land south of Adeline and Shattuck becomes a community arts center with housing for artists above? What if outdoor art installations and art kiosks are placed in a new park along the west side of Adeline Street? Now let's look at the same area, but with an eye toward creating more civic and gathering places. What if new affordable housing is created above the fire station? What if the privately owned triangle of land becomes an iconic new building with civic uses on the ground floor and new housing above? What if kiosks for vendors are placed in improved public spaces on both sides of Adeline Street? Here's the same area with an emphasis on housing and commerce. What if new co-working space is created over the fire station? What if the privately owned triangle at Adeline and Shattuck becomes a major new retail store with parking underneath? What if the median in the center of Adeline is redesigned in a way that could support the relocation of the Ashby Flea Market to this area on the weekends? Let's move a little further south on Adeline to the Ashby-BART West parking lot. This is the largest opportunity site in the area. The west lot is about 4.5 acres and is currently used as a surface parking lot for BART, with the flea market using a portion of the lot on the weekend. There's another 1.5 acres of surface parking on the east lot, but right now we're focused west of Adeline. How might we add new market rate and affordable housing in this area at the same time we increase opportunities for the arts, civic and gathering space, and commerce? And again, let's pair these options with the different road makeovers we looked at in video 1. Let's look at the arts first. What if a retail village with space for arts, galleries, theaters, restaurants, and other performance venues is created with a subterranean parking area below? What if new housing is built on the floors above this space facing Adeline Street so that lower scale buildings face Martin Luther King Jr. Way? And what if the building itself becomes an art form incorporating modern cutting-edge architecture and building forms that are really different? What if new gateway markers and public art are placed at the corner? Here's a look at the same area, but with a civic theme. What if we add an iconic new building on the West BART parking lot above a subterranean parking structure with a large public market on the ground floor that becomes a gathering place for the whole community? As in the other options, there'd be housing above this new space. What if we close Adeline Street to through traffic on the weekends, rerouting through traffic along Ashby and MLK and creating a large public space for people instead of cars above the station? This space could support a relocated flea market. What if we create a new park at the point where Adeline meets Martin Luther King Jr. Way? And now the same space with an eye toward commerce. What if we replace the surface parking lot with a subterranean parking deck, and above that deck we have a major new retailer at the corner of MLK and Ashby, with housing above that store? To the south, we have a row of small shops, restaurants, and services in new storefronts that face Martin Luther King Jr. Way, with housing above. And along Adeline Street, there's a new linear park, with kiosks where vendors might serve food or sell produce and crafts, and space for the flea market on the weekends. Moving south to the southern gateway, which is the area where Adeline meets Stanford and where Martin Luther King Jr. Way branches off toward Oakland, we have an opportunity to reclaim space as the road is reduced from 6 to 4 lanes. How might this area be reimagined with an eye toward the arts, civic space, and commerce, as well as new housing? Let's start with an eye toward providing more housing while enhancing the arts. There's a city-owned property at the southeast corner of Alcatraz and Adeline. It's right next to where BART transitions from its elevated track to a subway. What if this property is developed with housing, maybe with art space facing Alcatraz? And what if the BART tracks themselves are incorporated into a monumental piece of public art that reduces noise from the trains while enveloping the tracks in a cocoon-like structure? It sounds far out, but such a project was actually implemented in Chicago not too long ago. And what if parking is added for an improved farmers market near 63rd and Adeline? What if the market itself is relocated to a permanent new structure near the intersection of Adeline and Stanford? Here's the same area, but with a focus on public gathering places. In this what if, a new community arts center is built on the city-owned property at Alcatraz and Adeline. New housing is placed on the upper floors. This would be a landmark piece of architecture with BART actually going through the structure as it transitions from the elevated section to subway. The green space on both sides of Adeline would be expanded as the road is narrowed from 6 lanes to 4 lanes. And a series of permanent structures is placed in the open space at Adeline and Stanford for the farmers market. In the commerce alternative, a new mixed-use building is placed on the city-owned property at Alcatraz and Adeline. The building might include co-working space on the ground floor and housing above. New public art would be installed at the Adeline-Stanford intersection, marking this spot as a gateway into Berkeley from Oakland. On the west side of Adeline, the farmers market would be housed in a series of permanent kiosks set in an expanded open space area next to the corner. This concludes the second video. Please use the online feedback forms to let us know if any of these ideas particularly appeals to you, or if any should be dropped from further consideration. We'll be summarizing the feedback sometime this spring. Thanks for watching.